It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the box. LSU, UCLA, they are set to do battle in the winner's bracket of the College World Series. Monday evening, your scheduled first pitch time, 6 p.m. The winner of that game obviously moves to 2-0, takes full control of their bracket, and moves another step closer to clinching a spot in the championship series in Omaha. Today, we go through that matchup from every angle. Earlier this week, we took a surface level look at UCLA, told you a few things that you needed to know about them. Obviously, we'll go much deeper here, how LSU matches up, what needs to happen for the Tigers ultimately to be victorious and get to 2-0, and what comes with that also, a day off. You won't have to play again until Wednesday evening, potentially, if you do move into the 2-0 spot here on your side of the bracket. These two teams, they have some somewhat recent history in the NCAA tournament as well as the College World Series. And the two head coaches, boy, they are quite familiar with each other, and John Savage and Jay Johnson. That can create some pretty interesting dynamics in this ball game as well. We're going to go through all of it. Please smash the like button, get subscribed if you have not already on the YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast app. Just search Musso at the box. You can take the show with you wherever you go. Please share. Please follow on social media as well on Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Let's go ahead and dive right into it, shall we? So how did each team get here? Well, UCLA, they knocked off the Cinderella team, Murray State, in the opening round afternoon slot on Saturday, 6-4. Final score in that one, a little bit misleading. UCLA jumped out to a 6-0 lead through 4, put a lot of pressure on Murray State, took advantage of some of the racers' mistakes, specifically walks, to help build that lead, and then they turned it over to their bullpen after getting 4 2/3 from their starter, Michael Barnett. Again, while it finishes 6-4, that game never really felt in doubt for UCLA, at least from my vantage point watching that. Murray State was overmatched in that ball game. They made it respectable, but that was a 6-2 game going into the top of the 8th. They would add a couple, but just knowing once UCLA got that 6-0 lead, understanding how they operate, especially with their bullpen and the talent level that they have in their bullpen, where they pretty much just throw the kitchen sink at you, it was going to be really difficult for Murray State, especially in that ballpark, to get to 7 runs. Ultimately, it was. So pretty much a low stress, about as efficient a win as UCLA could have hoped for in the opening round, and that lands them the date with LSU. Likewise, LSU, they knock off Arkansas in the evening slot, obviously, on Saturday. It was the matchup that everybody had circled in the College World Series opening round, the two highest seeded teams remaining facing off, an SEC rivalry, all of those things. And LSU came out victorious. LSU never trailed. Cade Anderson spun 7 beautiful innings, and your bullpen through shutout ball, and ultimately LSU's here. And I think LSU would look back at that game and go, about as efficient a win as you could have had in the opener, especially given all the stakes. So now the two teams, they match up. UCLA comes into it 48-16. Again, they were champions of the Big Ten this season. Swept through the postseason. They are 6-0 up to this point in the NCAA tournament. LSU comes into it 49-15 overall, one more, and they'll get the second 50-win season in 3 years, and the second under Jay Johnson in his time in Baton Rouge. Let's talk a little bit about UCLA, the team. And when we did our little brief look, the first thing I said is small ball offensively. Now, the numbers offensively from this club are going to jump off the page at you. They're hitting .298. They score plenty of runs, but they go about it a different way. This is a vintage John Savage team. Remember the UCLA team that won the national championship in 2013? You should, because they beat LSU in the opener. That team hit like 211 or something in the College World Series, but they rode pitching, defense, timely hitting, small ball, all of those things. This team is more skilled than that at the plate. Let me be clear. But they go about it the same exact way. It's a lot of singles. They take their walks. They've drawn 312 walks on the season. They get them on. They get them over. They get them in. Just go back. Let's look at how they scored their 6 runs against Murray State. In the bottom of the first, Murray State walked 3 hitters, so that obviously helped. But again, they take their walks. They turn in quality at bats time and time again. Leadoff guy draws a walk. He immediately steals second base to get himself in a scoring position. Another walk would follow. You'd have a single to right field that loaded the bases, and then a bases loaded walk drove in the run. That made it 1-0. You go to the second inning. You get a leadoff double. Sack bunt. Immediately, single drives in the run. Like, am I painting the picture here for you? I want to go through the fourth, because this really illustrates, the fourth inning of all innings really illustrates how committed John Savage's team is to the small ball approach on offense. You get a one-out single. That flips the lineup. West singles as well, so you have runners at first and third. Rock Chalowski at the plate, who is the best player on this team, leads them in every meaningful category, and he drops down a bunt. A safety squeeze that gets the run in. For reference, y'all, Rock Chalowski is hitting, and we'll come back to him, obviously, he is hitting .362. He is hitting 62 points higher than the next closest guy on the team, and they asked him to drop down a bunt. And he did. And it got the run in. That made it 3-0. And then you'd have a hit by pitch, another single, and then a double. They would end up with 4 runs on 4 hits in that inning. That's how they got to their 6. But in each one of those innings, there was a small ball principle. It is how they play. In the past, LSU has matched up with a team like that incredibly well under Jay Johnson, because they have just been able to completely outslug those teams and make them chase. This is a little different, but we'll get into that a little bit more down the line. But that is what you are looking at offensively from this UCLA team. They don't strike out a lot. So it's going to be very interesting to watch a guy like Anthony Eyanson, who is top 5 in the nation in strikeouts with 142, go up against them, and let's see how that matchup plays out. But either way, it's an offense that's going to put a lot of pressure on you, and they're so good at manufacturing runs, which plays very well in that ballpark. On the mound for UCLA, the numbers aren't going to blow you away. When you just look at a team ERA of 4.4, they've struck out 502. Like, it's not just going to completely blow you. Like, they have more innings pitched than strikeouts as a staff. But I am here to tell you, this is a really, really good pitching staff that the Bruins have that is deep, especially in the bullpen. And they've got some guys in that bullpen that can put it past you. And they lean on their pen a lot. But they can do that because they have the arms. UCLA's bullpen in the Super Regional, not only did they shut out UTSA for 2 games, they did not allow a hit for 2 games. It is a very talented pen, and they understand how to use it. They do this a very certain way. Like, it is a kitchen sink approach. Just, for reference, we'll use their game against Murray State. So their starter, Michael Barnett, gives them 4 2/3. They would then use 5 arms out of the pen to get them home. Wyland Moss gives them 1/3 of an inning. Ian May gives them an inning. Jack O'Connor, 2/3. August Souza, inning and 1/3. Easton Hawk, who we will talk about, gives you an inning. You can see how they just piece it together. But they know what their guys do best, and they put them in the right position to succeed, and it gets them home more often than not because they do not ask a lot from their starting pitching. Speaking of, let's dive into what your pitching matchup will be in this game. More than likely, LSU will see right-hander Landon Stump. He has been UCLA's number 2 for the majority of this season. He is 6-1 on the year with an ERA of 4.54, 73 1/3 innings pitched. He has walked 37, struck out 62. The opponent hits 250. Landon Stump is not going to go deep in this game. The thing that might surprise me most is if UCLA gets like 6 innings out of Landon Stump, because it's just not the way they operate. In 2 postseason starts, he has thrown 7 innings. You heard that right, but just in case you didn't, let me repeat it again. In 2 postseason starts, Landon Stump has thrown 7 innings. He's given up 2 earned, and he has struck out 5. Stump has some good stuff. He has a fastball that can get into the mid-90s, but it's really going to sit 92, 93. He's got a really nice breaking ball that's tight and deceptive, and he relies heavily on mixing his pitches. Much like an Anthony Eyanson, much like a Cade Anderson, because he has multiple that he can throw for a strike, he relies heavy on it, and also because he doesn't have that overpowering stuff. But this is a guy who has pitched into the 7th inning 1 time this year, and a guy who has pitched into the 6th inning 3 times this year. They just don't allow him to go deep. They get him through the lineup once, maybe 1.5 times, maybe twice, and they hand it off to their bullpen. For LSU, see if you can get him out of there even earlier. I would love to see LSU completely jump Landon Stump in this ball game and knock him out the way they did Zach Root, where you get 3 runs off of him in an inning and a third, and you force John Savage's hand early. And as we saw in that game against Arkansas, LSU can do it multiple different ways. Like multiple different ways offensively this year. They can put just as much pressure on the opponent as UCLA can. And if they can knock Stump, again, they're not going to let him go deep anyway. But if you can knock him out even earlier and force their hand in the pin a little bit, sooner than they would have liked, that obviously plays well into your hand. Anthony Eyanson for LSU is going to get the ball. We know he's 11-2, a 2.74 ERA, 98 2/3 innings pitched. He's walked 35. He has struck out 142, and the opponent hits 211 off of Eyanson. What's going to be key for him is what's been key for him really the last, month and a half, 2 months down the stretch of this season for LSU. It's having command of that curveball, that breaking ball right out of the bullpen when he starts. That is really what has wiped away those early season struggles early in the ball game, because him, he gets stronger as things go along. I love that he will be on an extra day's rest. I think that benefits LSU greatly. Anthony Eyanson, when he's had that extra rest, has been really, really good this season, as most pitchers, as most pitchers are. So I like that aspect of it for him. And if he's mixing pitches, he's going to be very good. I think what he has to do, though, and this isn't not necessarily a problem for him, like he is a strike thrower, we understand that, but it's going to have to be some patience. And he needs to get some outs early in the count. And to do that, he's going to have to attack these UCLA hitters because they will sit there and foul pitches off. They will, they are a pesky, tough at bat. So the more outs he can get early in the count, that's huge for him. So attacking is going to be key. I look at this and I go, you know what? You might not see the 11 punch outs for Eyanson against this team. If you do, you know he was on his game, like top of his game, if you see that. And he had them completely off balance. But like Cade Anderson, Anthony Eyanson is your greatest advantage in this ballgame. Like, you have such a pitching advantage from a starting perspective. Their bullpen's awesome. But you get into a bullpen and anything can happen. When you have to go string it together, all it takes is one guy not having his stuff. And against a lineup like LSU, that could result in a 5 spot real quick. Your advantage is on the mound once again in this game, as it has been the majority of this season, especially when Anderson or Eyanson is starting. A little bit more on the Bruins and their lineup. Let's talk Rock Chalowski. Well, first, this is a really talented Bruins team in terms of like major league prospects. There's a lot of depth, really, when you look, according to Kylie McDaniel from ESPN, 3rd to 5th round range. Their catcher, Cashel Duggar, for 2026. Their third baseman, Roman Martin, for 2026. A lot of these are 2026 guys. First baseman, 26. Phoenix Call, their second baseman, is 26. Their left fielder, Dean West, who leads off, is the 2026 class. Rock Chalowski is the 2026 class. It's a really talented prospect group, but they're young. And they're only going to get better. Like, you could honestly look at UCLA and go, man, are they a year early? Like, are they in this spot a year early? But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys out of their lineup, their starting lineup, that Kylie McDaniel is telling you are top 5 round guys for the next cycle, like for 2026. That's strong. It starts with Rock Chalowski, as we've said. He's their shortstop. Might go 1-1 in 2026. Kylie McDaniel has him as the top prospect in the draft for 2026. He's hitting .362. That leads the team and leads the team by 62 points. He has 23 home runs. That leads the team, and the next closest guy has 12, and he is driven in 74. That does not lead the team. But that is their all-everything guy. And they'll hit 2-hole. You got to stop Rock Chalowski. He can't beat you. We've had the conversation all throughout the year about LSU's plan and their attack and their execution against the opposition's best. That is Rock Chalowski. Like, you need to hold him down and take your swings at the rest of their lineup. The other guy that I'm really going to harp on is first baseman Mulivi Lavu. He's hitting .319. He's tied for second on the team with the 12 homers. He leads the team with 85 RBI. Those two guys, Chalowski and Lavu, they've had really nice postseasons as well. Chalowski's hitting .307 so far on the postseason through 6 games, and Lavu is hitting .346 and has driven in 5 runs. Those two guys, you really have to treat them. Think of them as the Aloy brothers. Think of them as Laviolette and Caden Sorrell. That's their version in this lineup. Roman Martin is also a very, very good player. He's third on the team with 60 RBI, and he's hitting 320. Like the middle of that order, man. The middle of that UCLA order, when you look at Chalowski, Lavu, Martin, they're going to hit 2, 3, 4 more often than not. That is murderer's row for them. So just keep an eye on that part of it. In their game against Murray State, they sent out 6 300 hitters. Let's talk a little bit about the bullpen. And I want to start with Easton Hawk. So Easton Hawk is a true freshman who has morphed into their closer, picked up his 8th save of the year Saturday afternoon against Murray State. It's a big arm. Fastball is going to be 97, 98, but he has a wicked slider that he can really put inside, underneath the hands of a left-handed hitter. It's actually one of the things that he does particularly well in general, especially for a freshman, is pitching inside regardless. He can do it with the fastball as well. That's much more to the righty, though, but that's a really big arm coming out of the UCLA pen at the back end. If they have a 1, 2 run, 3 run lead, that's who they're going to go to. And he's already got 1 save, and he will be available. 1 save in the World Series, and he will be available. 18 pitches. In fact, of the 5 arms that UCLA threw on Saturday, only one of them threw over 20 pitches. They are all available. Now, the interesting thing there is UCLA is a very right-handed heavy bullpen. I think that favors LSU, obviously. LSU has hit right-handers much better than they have hit left-handers this season. That's just not really debatable. So them having a really right-handed heavy pen plays into LSU's favor. The 2 guys that I look at that pitched Saturday that I go, okay, you're probably definitely going to see those guys again are Hawk, if the situation presents itself, and Jack O'Connor. Jack O'Connor has 25 appearances on this team as well, just like Easton Hawk. He has a 1.75 ERA. He is not going to overpower you at all. The fastball is upper 80s. Like that's where he sits, but it's a really good breaking ball, and everything kind of moves for him. To show you how much he's not going to overpower you, he has struck out just 17 in 25 and 2/3 innings pitched. But he's walked 6. He is that finesse guy that pounds the zone. And he can just really wreck your day and drive you crazy. He only threw 2/3 of an inning. They never really extend him. He is much more of that type of guy. Of his 25 appearances, again, 25 and 2/3 innings pitched. But he's a key cog in how they piece things together. The other 2 that I really want to focus in on, because I think LSU has a great chance of seeing them because they did not pitch on Saturday, are Chris Grotus and Cal Randall, both righties. Grotus is the guy that you would look more for extended relief. Like, let's say LSU does knock out Landon Stump early in this ball game. Grotus is probably the guy you see first out of the pen because he can give them some length. He's made 19 appearances, all of them out of the bullpen. He has thrown 31 innings. Of pitchers who have made strictly bullpen appearances, that is the most innings pitched on the UCLA team. Again, not a guy that's going to overpower you, but he floods the strike zone, and he's really difficult to hit because of the mixing of his pitches. He's very, very good at mixing the pitches, has command of multiple normally when he's out there. The other guy, Cal Randall. Cal Randall is a matchup specialist. He's a righty, but he's a matchup specialist because he can come in and get the strikeout when they need it. It's a big fastball similar to Easton Hawk, mid to upper 90s with a good slider as well. He actually is second on this team in appearances at 26. but it's only 23 in the third innings. They need to put out a fire. They need someone to come in and get the punch out. That's a guy like Cal Randall. And then you have August Souza, who leads this team in appearances with 29. I should say he's tied for the team lead in appearances with 29. He's the one who threw 21 pitches on Saturday. With a day rest, he can absolutely come back. But Murray State got to him. He what would we say? It takes one guy kind of not having his stuff. He was that guy. He threw an inning in the third, gave up 2 earned, a hit, walked a guy. Like, he was the one that didn't necessarily have his stuff. So we'll see there. But if you're getting a tight game, you're obviously going to see Easton Hawk at the back end. Ian May is one of their lefties. Ryan Rhesus is one of their lefties as well. It's a right-handed heavy pen, which I think favors LSU. All right. Keys to victory, how the matchup goes, things we want to see. Mentioned earlier, a team like this in the past under Jay Johnson would have been LSU would have been a really bad matchup for them because LSU could just slug. Like in 2022, 2023 is a great example. Kentucky. LSU beat Kentucky 4 times. They were 4-1 against Kentucky. Kentucky is the SEC's small ball team. And what LSU consistently did, they outslugged Kentucky and made them chase. And Kentucky just wasn't really good enough offensively to chase. I think a team like UCLA is similar. LSU doesn't have that slug ability. But the caveat to that is West Virginia. West Virginia was a team that could not string things together. They needed help. They needed errors. They needed walks. They really had one inning all weekend where they strung something together, and it was after Cade Anderson sat for half an hour. Other than that, they relied on things. While I don't think LSU is necessarily a bad matchup for UCLA's pitching staff, I think LSU's pitching staff is a bad matchup for UCLA. Because UCLA, they do not hit a lot of extra base hits. They are tied for 81st in America in doubles. They have hit just 112 doubles all year. It's a lot of singles. And if LSU is in the strike zone, it is going to be very difficult for UCLA to string anything together against LSU. And I like that. And likewise, LSU has anybody they want available out of the bullpen. Except, like, the only pitcher not available for LSU is Cade Anderson. That's it. You want to bring Chase Shores back? Go for it. He threw 10 pitches. You want to bring Kason Evans back? Go for it. He threw 13 pitches. And those 2 guys were phenomenal. 2 shutout innings, no walks, 3 strikeouts. That's what you need. No walks. Because it's just difficult for UCLA to string things together. Much like West Virginia. They rely on the get them on, get them over approach. I think that's a bad matchup against LSU's pitching staff. Because I feel very confident in saying this is the best pitching staff that UCLA will have faced all year in terms of stuff, first and foremost. Offensively for LSU, I thought they had a pretty efficient night against Arkansas. They didn't rip the cover off the ball, but when they had opportunity, they took advantage of the opportunity. LSU was very good with timely hits. Stanfield single, Curiel single late in the game. Like, those are the things that really come to mind. But even just putting the ball in play and getting the runner home from third base with less than 2 outs, Josh Pearson's RBI fielder's choice, right? LSU excelled in moments like that. I think there's an opportunity for a little bit more offense from LSU in this ball game. I really want to see what they do with Jared Jones. He needs a good day. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts is hideous. Like, there's no way around that. But we know what Jared Jones is at this point. He's a career 300 hitter who is third all-time in home runs at LSU, who plays a great first base, and he strikes out a lot. But you don't have to look far to see that the breakout is in there on any given day for him. He had a bad regional. And then on the Monday game, the regional final, he was much better. He got off to a bit of a rough start in the Super Regional. Then in game 2 of the Super Regional, he had a 3-hit day. I'm looking for that type of bounce back from him. I love that Stephen Milam stayed hot, but first and foremost, the top of your lineup just has to be better. Pearson, Fry, Jones, that was the top of your lineup Saturday night, and they went, y'all, a combined 0 for 13. You just have to be better than that at the top of the lineup. The depth was on display. Everyone else picked them up. All 6 of your hits came from hitters 4 through 9. That's great, but you need a little bit more from the top. I think you see LSU go back to a much more conventional lineup in this ball game, facing a right-handed starter. Like, I expect to see Derek Curiel back at the top. As I said, what do they do with Jared Jones? They move him down a little bit. Maybe that worked when they did it in the regional, which led to that big night for him on Monday. I would expect Danny Dickinson to move a little bit up in the lineup again, not be down there in the 7 hole. Stanfield probably goes back to 9. So I think you see a much more conventional approach is what we've seen from a lineup perspective for LSU, and I think that does result in more offense for them against UCLA. The one thing here, the 2 coaches, they know each other exceptionally well. I mean, and I don't. So they'll have a plan. Like, they understand how each other's teams work. They know what the other wants to do. But it's going to be up to the players to go out there and execute it. And both of these teams have been very, very good at execution this season. Because it's been such a huge part of what they do and how they win. Because they can't just run it out of the yard, or something like that. But I like LSU to win the ball game. I think it's tightly contested. I do. I think there's some high stress moments in it. But I think Anthony Eyanson is going to go out there, give you at least 6 innings, and probably put the UCLA offense in a vice, because it's what he's done all year. And I think the advantages you have on the mound in this game is immense. I really do. So I like LSU. I think they win it. And I think they move to 2-0. That they would have a day off on Tuesday. And man, that'd be awesome. We're going to have you covered wall to wall on Musso at the Box, a live reaction right after the game. Plenty of stuff leading up, all those things. Please smash the like button, get subscribed, follow on social media, share, all of those things. You greatly appreciate it. And be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.